Good morning all. I wish to welcome everyone to the meeting and officially declare the meeting open at 9 a.m. Could I remind everybody that Council's ordinary meetings are open to the public and are also recorded and available for viewing after the meeting to provide access to all community members. Attendees that are in the gallery may be recorded. We're all here today on country working together to make this the most livable tropical community. I would like to welcome Pastor Joshua Symes from Innisfail Baptist Church to conduct the opening prayer. Good morning.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. It's always a privilege to come and open the council meeting in prayer. Can I share a verse first? It's probably one you might be familiar with. It's Proverbs 3, 5 and 6. It contains an instruction of what not to do, an instruction of what to do, and a promise. It says, trust the Lord with all your heart. That's the thing to do. It's a genuine trust. Put your trust in him. And trust, sometimes we need to trust him because sometimes we read and goes, well, that doesn't fit with what I think or the world is saying us. So we need to trust him. That's what to do. Lean not on your own understanding. Sometimes we get it wrong and other humans get it wrong as well. So that's what not to do. And then there's a in all your ways, submit to him. And here's the promise, and he will make your paths straight. So that's the encouragement. Can I pray? Father God, I thank you for your wisdom and your instruction that you give us in your word, that you reveal to us. Father God, I want to pray for the council today that you might give them wisdom and instruction, that this meeting will be peaceable, and that, Lord, that together they might come to useful conclusions for our town, our cities, our towns and community, that we might foster harmonious society. We ask these things in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you. Is that right this time?
Thanks.
We move on to apologies. We have, I just need to let everyone know that we have Councillor Baines is attending online, and we have an apology for our CEO, Mr. Andrew Graffin. Councillors are reminded of their obligations to declare any material personal interests or conflicts of interest in matters before today's meeting and to manage those interests in a transparent and accountable manner as required by the Local Government Act 2009. If any councillor has an interest to declare, please do so now. Are there any declarations? Councillor Pervin.
Yes, thanks, Chair. Look, just to inform fellow councillors and yourself, I've notified the Mayor and the CEO previously that I have a material personal interest in items 6.2 and 6.3 due to Backpackers Shack Pty Limited, who is one of the applicants for the these items. And I'm currently employed by Backpackers Shack and it's listed on my register of interests. So I'll be leaving for any discussions and for the voting for these two items.
Thank you, councillor. Are there any further interests in any of the items? Okay, thank you. We will move on to our confirmation of minutes.
Happy to move that, Chair.
Happy to move. Councillor Littlemore. Absolutely.
Good, Chair, with the agreement of the mover, we have a slight correction to the minutes of the previous meeting, which also requesting be included in
I'm happy with that.
the minute.
Could you speak up a little bit?
Could you tell us what it is, please?
We have a correction to the minutes of the July meeting, the 23rd of July meeting, item 8.3, which is awarding a contract for DRFA landslip restoration on Tully Gorge Road. There was a typo in the officer's recommendation regarding the amount of the tender value. The minutes reflect that the amount of the tender awarded was $5,447,887. The correct amount to be reflected in the minutes, it should be $5,477,887. And this does not change the outcome of the tender evaluation or award. And I'm requesting that those be reflected in the
The Chair, is that a lesser amount?
a greater amount by 30,000.
By 30. Yep.
447 to 477.
Yes, I'm happy with that amendment.
Second that. Thank you. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Is there any business arising from previous minutes? No business arising? We'll move on. Move on to Australia Day Awards. Yes.
Morning, everyone.
I want to introduce you, but how's the proper pronunciation of your last name?
Oh, Rutchins.
Rutchins. Thank you.
I'm here to present the Australia Day Awards for 2027. The Australia Day Awards provide an opportunity for Castlereagh Coast Regional Council to publicly recognise and celebrate the outstanding contributions of individuals and groups who make a positive and lasting difference to the Castlereagh Coast community. The Australia Day Award guidelines establish the eligibility, nomination, assessment, selection process for the awards. The updated guidelines comprise 7 award categories, reduced from 17 awards last year. Citizen of the Year, Young Citizen of the Year, Lifetime Contribution, Community Event / Project of the Year, Community Champion Award, Sportsperson of the Year, and Sustainable Environment Award. The following categories have been removed: Arts and Culture Award, Achievement Award, Innovation and Excellence, and the Community Group Award. 6 categories will be moved to Youth Week, held annually in April. The Achievement / Academic Award, previously the STEM Award, Young Arts and Culture Award, Young Sportsperson of the Year, Young Entrepreneurs Award, Young Sustainable Environment Award, and the First Nations Fire Award. Eligibility and selection criteria are outlined in the guidelines. Nominations are open to individuals and community organisations. Referees can be submitted through Council's nominated online process, Smarty Grants. The awards are considered by the annual selection panel, and the award recipients are announced at the official annual Australia Day Awards event. Consultation has been undertaken with relevant council officers, Youth Advisory Committee, Executive Leadership Team, and councillors. So the recommendation is that Council adopt the updated Australia Day Awards guidelines, inclusive of the updated award categories as presented in this report, and agree to host the 2027 Australia Day Awards event at Mission Beach Resort on Friday, the 22nd of January, 2027.
Thank you. Councillor Jessup.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'd like to move an alternate motion to this, and that is that one, Council adopt the updated Australia Day Awards guidelines, subject to the Community Champion Award being renamed to the Community Volunteer Champion Award, to clearly recognise the vital contribution of volunteers across the Castlereagh Coast, and to agree to host the 2027 Australia Day Awards event at Mission Beach Resort on Friday, the 22nd of January, 2027. So the reason I'd like to do this is because I propose that this change, because volunteering is at the heart of our communities, including the word volunteer, clearly acknowledges the people who generously give their time, their skills, their energy, and their support to others to strengthen our Castlereagh Coast. So I think it should be included.
I have a question for Councillor Jessup through the chair, if I may. Could you then, just for my own clarity and for the clarity of the others, often our Citizens of the Year have been very strong in the volunteering. So could you, and I have take nothing away from the words that you've used, just for clarity, what would separate someone nominating Mary Smith for Citizen of the Year as opposed to the Community Champion Volunteer?
So when you read the guidelines and the criteria, it specifically says for volunteers.
As opposed to citizen?
As opposed to citizens.
So what would be an example of the work that somebody might do to earn a Citizen of the Year? If it's not a lot of, I'm just trying to clarify.
I guess you would need to ask
Well, you have
maybe
to
the officer
or
or
look at the guidelines.
Yeah.
Have you been through the guidelines?
Well, from our previous conversation, yes, but yeah, just for my own clarity, further from, because this, wasn't aware that this change was being put forward. So
Are you thinking that Citizen of the Year covers community champion as well?
I'm just trying to clarify what, if I was going to nominate somebody, what would be the distinguishing factor to which category I might nominate them?
Well, that would be distinguished in the
Guidelines.
The guidelines.
Okay, just
The guidelines.
yes. And I know that various people that have won Citizen of the Year past have done great work in other fields,
Yeah.
not volunteering. So I'm happy with that. I just wanted to have the conversation. That-
This is why I want the word volunteer put in, because that's unpaid work.
Yeah, I have no issues.
It's,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's the clarity.
Through the chair.
Yes, councillor Little.
So just for my clarity, councillor Jessup, you're not proposing any change to the wording and the guidelines, just in the name of the category.
just in the name. of the
Reflect that.
category.
How much we appreciate volunteers.
Exactly. And having that word volunteer in there, I think
Be happy to second that, Chief.
Sorry, yeah.
it stands out to reason to have it in there.
Councillor Pervin.
Just going through the guidelines, it really does with the volunteer, the Community Champion Award, it actually stipulates probably 3 or 4 times in there that it's on a volunteer basis, whereas the Citizen of the Year, it's a lot broader. It actually talks about being involved in businesses and
Yeah.
so, yeah, there is a very big differentiate between the two awards. So I think, yeah,
I think, sorry, following on through the chair, that when we do actually announce the awards being open, that there is clarity, that people understand, because we know with nominations, sometimes they do get blurred as to where they could go. So I think it's important that we do, when they go out, that it's quite clear.
Well, I guess in our commentary, we need to direct
Yes.
people to
Yeah.
the guidelines.
Yeah.
Make sure you read the guidelines and make sure your nomination is in line with the guidelines, therefore for it to be accepted, I guess.
Through the chair.
Councillor Littlemore.
Just because there are 7 categories and there's one person that you think is a champion, doesn't mean if they fit into Citizen of the Year and they fit into Community Champion Volunteer Award, that you can't be nominated for both.
Correct. Yep,
Sorry, me again. Sorry.
you're all right.
Thank you. Yeah, well done to the team, because this has been an ongoing situation where unfortunately we haven't had nominations in some categories. And so that's great. And I think it's great that we are separating our youth and making our youth shine for Youth Week. I think that's a great
Yeah.
alternative as well. And just the other thing that I have raised with team, we've had issues in the past with notifying when people have been nominated. So have we fine-tuned that if Mary Smith takes the time to nominate John Smith, will John Smith know prior to the event? Because we have had it that nominees on the night have not been there because they weren't been made aware. So I've asked that if I'm nominating John Smith, that I make a point of saying, John, I'm going to nominate you for this award. Are you comfortable with that? And then I have his permission to move it forward, and he is aware, because we have had situations 2 years in a row where people have not been present and they have won a very prestigious award, which is embarrassing.
And through the chair, we have, so with the actual application or nomination process, we've put a new question in there about has the nominee been notified
Thank you.
of your nomination?
Yes.
Yes or no, and then if they haven't, then we definitely contact them.
Okay, so thank you very much. Appreciate that. Yeah.
Through the chair.
Councillor McLeod.
Thank you, through the chair. So in that form, is there contact details? Is there a space there that the nominee and their contact details, that the people actually put their contact details? So you or the team, whoever is contacting, they have an actual contact?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so we've got the nominee details and also the nominators details as well.
Perfect. Excellent.
Councillor Littlemore.
I take Councillor Chewy's point from before about making sure people are aware that they've been nominated. There are some people, if I said to Councillor Jessup, I intend to nominate you for this, they would try and talk you out of it. Whereas if it's put in anonymously, so I could still nominate Councillor Jessup, and on the form it says, no, I haven't contacted Councillor Jessup. And when the lovely people from our staff contact Councillor Jessup to say, are you attending the awards, you've been nominated, they wouldn't say, it was Councillor Littlemore that did it because of the natural.
Yeah,
I don't want necessarily the person I nominate to be aware how much I think they're such a
Yeah,
good person, because
yeah.
usually I'm going to punch up over the fence.
As I'm sorry, through the chair, I've said to the team that I'm quite happy in my role to make it clear that so if, as I said, the nominator doesn't want to tell the nominee because they want to be anonymous, then I'm happy to ring that person up to say, congratulations, you've been nominated. Are you happy to accept this nomination?
I'm sure the team's well aware of what is required at this point.
Yes.
That sounds almost operational.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lovely.
Well, it's great to see, and we've got a mover and a seconder, and we're if things don't work, we work around it and change them and try and find a better way, and that's what we're trying to do here. So let's hope that this is a more successful way of doing things. So those in favour? Carried, thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, Councillor Jessup, did you want to add a comment?
I was going to add a comment. Sorry, it's probably a little late now, but maybe in future events, we could even think about having a young volunteer award as well. Because we are trying to entice the younger people to then step up and take place of the ones that are aging.
We could have a look at that when Youth Week comes around, and it's certainly something that we could make an addition to down the track.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Thanks. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we move on to financial performance report, and Ms Swift will present. Excuse me, but is this the last we've ever seen of you?
Yes, it is.
Thank you so much for assisting us during our budget process. And
It's been lovely. It's been
it's
really
been
nice work.
great having you here, and it's sad to see you go.
Thank you.
But wish you well in your future endeavours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I'm presenting the 2026-27 financial performance report for July 2026. So the Chief Executive Officer is required by Section 204, paragraph 2 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 to present the financial report at a meeting of the local government once per month. The purpose of this report is to promote sound financial management and accountability by presenting the Council's financial performance for the year to date against budget expectations, and we're looking at 31st of July 2026. Council adopted the 26-27 budget on the 25th of June 2026, which is reflected as the budget in the following finance report and attachments. Our operational revenue year to date is 1.08 million, with a favourable variance compared to budget of 166,000. Our operational expenditure year to date is 9.98 million, with a favourable variance compared to budget of 295,000. This results in an operational loss year to date of $8.9 million, with a favourable variance compared to budget expectations of 462,000. In terms of our revenue, our fees and charges revenue is over budget by 90,000, with transfer station charges, caravan parks and camping, cemeteries and animal registrations all over year-to-date budget, partially offset by development and building applications, food premises and car parking fines under year-to-date budget. Our total interest revenue was 398,000 for the month, and our operating grants and contributions are under budget by 65,000, mostly due to Reef Guardian Round 3 grant being under budget by 34,000, and our Works for Queensland being under budget by 22,000. Our sales and recoverable works revenue is 34,000 under budget for the year, and that variance is primarily attributable to timing of works for the Department of Environment, Tourism, Science and Innovation, environmental recovery works. In terms of our expenditure, our total employee expenses are under budget by 116,000. Noting this favourable variance is temporary. Council's enterprise bargaining agreement is currently being finalised and will include any increase to be backpaid to the 1st of July 2026, and our budget figures reflect this. Our contract labour is under budget by 54,000. Materials and services are under budget by 118,000.
And this is as a result of timing variances in relation to contractor services. On to capital now. So our capital grant revenue, are showing a variance to budget, mostly due to timing of construction works related to Tropical Cyclone Jasper betterment, our January 2025 and December 2025 event Reaper, and community and recreation assets over budget by 481,000. This will be a carryover of projects not yet reflected in the budget and will occur at BR1, sorry, Budget Review 1. The Capital Works program contains 596 active projects, with the full project listing contained within the attachment to this report. $1.9 million of the total $92.4 million capital budget has been spent. When we include commitments, this increases to $17 million of the total $92.4 million capital budget, which represents 18% of the total budget, with 8% of the year elapsed. And then on to the recommendation.
Yes, through the chair.
Yes.
So is it 1.9 or 1.4 million of the total 92.4? You did say 1.9, but I've got here 1.4.
Oh, I apologise. That is me reading incorrectly. It's absolutely 1.4 million of the total
Thank you.
92.4 million, and then including commitments increases to 17 million.
Yeah, just checking it wasn't a typo.
No, that was me reading incorrectly.
Good work, Alan.
Thank you. And the recommendation is that council receive and note the 2026-27 financial performance report for July 2026.
I'll be happy to move that since it's correct, Chair.
Oh, happy a second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? No one's got any other questions or?
Just one thing, Chair. I'd like to offer my thanks as well for Ms. Swift. It has been a pleasure working with you, and I think we're all sorry to see you go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. It's really lovely.
Sure you don't want to stay?
You're going to pick that, Chair.
Back every budget year.
You know, we always say that the financials and the numbers are not always the sexy things, but you seem to make it a little bit different. So thank you for that. We've got a mover and a seconder, so all in favour. Harry, thank you. Have a great day. Thank you, Councillor Baines.
When's your last day?
Tomorrow.
She's out of here.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Catherine.
Okay. Move on to 4.2, and Miss Lampard will present.
Good morning, Madam Mayor. Councillors, I'm
Morning.
presenting to you today a regulatory services 3-year plan. The plan provides a strategic framework for the delivery of council's local laws, animal management, environmental health, environmental protection, and associated regulatory functions. Regulatory services delivers a combination of statutory obligations, proactive compliance activities, and reactive responses to community requests across the Cassowary Coast. Service data has demonstrated an increase in community demand by 15% from 23-24 to 24-25 years and 11% in the following year, which is substantially greater than population growth. While a geographically dispersed region and the labour-intensive nature of regulatory services activities continue to influence service delivery. The plan establishes a 3-year approach focused on promoting voluntary compliance, improving service efficiency, applying risk-based and Pareto-informed prioritisation, strengthening proactive education and compliance activities, improving performance reporting, and making greater use of technology and data. It also identifies workforce capability and the condition and capacity of council's pound facilities as important considerations for sustainable service delivery. Implementation will occur progressively through annual work plans, performance measures, and regular review, providing council with a transparent framework to monitor demand, service performance, and regulatory outcomes while continuing to meet its statutory responsibilities and support a safe, healthy, and livable Cassowary Coast community.
The recommendation is that council, one, note the increase in demand from the community for regulatory services, and two, endorse the key priorities in the attached regulatory services 3-year plan.
So when we talk regulatory services, can we just elaborate on that? Because some people go, what does that mean? So that includes dog catching, dog pound facilities, cat facilities. It's illegal dumping,
Illegal park.
parking. Or I'll let you go. Can you give us
Yeah,
a bit of
through
a
the chair.
rundown?
Look, basically, we're authorised under our local laws, so we can conduct voluntary compliance and enforcement of council's local laws. So that does cover anything and everything. Within properties, it will be potentially dilapidated, windborne hazards and community hazards on properties, and overgrown or properties that don't meet this expected standard of the community that it's in. Outside of properties, it's activities that occur on council land. So parking, dogs, camping, even just digging a hole on council land, anything you do on council land, it will be covered in the local law.
Sorry, just before we go on, I'll get you guys in a minute. When it comes to overgrowns and those types of things that happen on people's properties, what is the actual process? I encourage people all the time to put in a request, because if it's a bugbear or it's something that really is making you distressed, all you need to do is contact customer service, isn't it, and put in a request, because there is a process that it has to go through. We just don't go out there tomorrow and.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, through the chair. There is quite a lengthy statutory process, and unfortunately, the community doesn't meet community expectations a lot of the time. We have to give the property owner reasonable amount of time to manage the property themselves. However, there is a cutoff point at which time we can produce them with a notice of entry and go in and slash the property or clean it up ourselves, and then we would invoice them. If they don't pay the invoice, it will go on their rates. So we can go in and do that. But yes, please report it. But what we would really like to encourage is people to go and mow their lawns before having to come to council, because that is a real burden on our time.
Yeah.
If people can
Yeah.
do it themselves. So we're going to look at strategies on how we can promote voluntary compliance in that area.
Good. Councillor Jessup.
So I've had this prepared here as well. So council operated waste facilities are required to follow strict environmental safety and operational standards for the storage, containment and lawful disposal of waste. These safeguards exist to protect public health, the environment and the wider community. The same fundamental expectations should apply when waste is repeatedly discarded or allowed to accumulate on private property. A residential yard should not be permitted to become an unregulated dumping, not illegal, but unregulated dumping ground, just simply because it's privately owned. The legal pathway applying to private property may differ, with the rules governing a licensed waste facility. However, the community outcome should be consistent. Waste must be managed and responsibly and must not create pest harbourage, fire or safety hazards, pollutions, risks and unreasonable impact. And this is reflected in local law number 3. How are we going to make this a consistent compliance? How are we going to approach that?
Yeah. So through the chair, that's what this plan is about, is getting some messages out to the community around what their obligations. Yeah, absolutely. Some voluntary compliance is what we're after. What we're saying in this plan is that the demand on our resources is becoming unsustainable without us getting a lot more staff We just can't be out there doing everything
So that
the community expects.
community have to play their part.
Yeah, that's right. And with our comms team, we will start getting these key messages out there. We've already got a few little plans up our sleeves, so that's really what we're going to try and target. Some of those really high demand areas of our workload, which is overgrowns and unsightly properties. It's also illegal dumping and dogs wandering. They are our really key high demand, high volume workload. So they will be our first targets.
So with illegal dumping on council land,
Councils, yeah.
that's a reportable offence to DETSI, is it, the state government?
Yep.
Yeah.
So you can report it to council or DETSI.
Is there any unregulated dumping, like for any offence by the state at all, or is this something that needs legislation or?
On private property,
Yeah.
it would depend on the scale. And whether it's rural or residential. or-
Just
yeah,
say people are dumping their fridges and their
yeah.
car bodies and stuff like that, old stuff that they don't want. They're just dumping it wherever on their property. That then becomes an environmental hazard.
And without knowing the legislation by word, from memory, a rural property is allowed to have a, and I'm not sure of the size of the rural property, so I'm very cautious around my words right now.
Take that on notice.
I might take it on notice, but they do have the ability to dump a certain amount of rubbish on their property that is generated from that property. So there is an allowance there, but could
When
go
you say
over.
generated from that property.
Yep, needs to be generated from that property, so.
So if you got an
If
old
they-
fridge, you can take it down the back and leave it out in the backyard.
Was it your,
If you're on a rural, whatever that
Yeah.
rural allowance is.
Okay.
because it was your fridge?
You can't take your neighbours.
Yeah.
Can't take waste from down the road or a neighbour or, it must be.
And I guess if you wanted to look at harsher penalties or things like that in relation to that, then you would need to do it when we do a review of the local laws. And then, the process for that, has to go off to the state and has to be approved. But anyway, there are options if you have something in mind that you can bring forward.
It just strikes me like we can ask people to remove containers and things off properties because they're not tied down or they're not, they're unsightly or whatever the reason. People don't want them there. They've reported them. And yet we can't do anything about, realistically, we can't do anything about telling people to clean up.
Well, we can, depending on where it is and what size of the property, I guess. So we probably should delve into that a little bit further and
I believe so.
see what those guidelines are.
Through the chair, yeah.
Shall we?
Thank you, Ms Lampard. So you've answered one of my questions about resources and obviously you'd like to have more of them, but that's a separate conversation. My question was about the increased workload of the team. Do we think, is it bad behaviour or more people reporting or combination of the two?
I'd say it's through the chair, probably a combination of the two, because we certainly with illegal dumping, we do encourage people to report it.
Yes.
We have done campaigns on that, so that has increased. I think there's a combination also of just financial hardship these days, where people, they're struggling to get out and get a slasher operator or get a mower and put fuel in a mower, and all of these things I think are really compounding our issues.
I've had a lot of recent behaviour with dogs and chickens as well. It's very sad for those people.
Yes.
Thank you.
Councillor Pervin?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Ms Lampert, just a quick one. You're talking about overgrown properties and unsightly properties. Just out of curiosity, I seem to get a lot of residents contact me, and it's a lot of state issues that we constantly go to. Have we got anything in place there to try and get them on board about? I know they won't. Well, they should be maintaining their own properties, but I think, does it tie our staff up a fair bit? Or
Chair, indeed it does. We have done some work around the resource demand for that, and it takes
probably one or two of our staff full-time working on state controlled land, just trying to lobby state government.
And I have also addressed that on
Okay.
your behalf. I've addressed it directly to the minister, and we've sent off quite a few letters in regards to them making sure that they're responsible. Well, they're doing it's their responsibility. It's not ours, and we shouldn't be using our man hours and
In the meantime, in relation to that, should we be asking these residents that contact us to probably reach out to the state member as well?
absolutely.
Yes, through chair, indeed. And we also, we give them the state government's contact number to audit.
Okay, thank you.
We try to do the lobbying ourselves as well, because we want an outcome for the community.
Good. So we've got a mover and a seconder.
No,
No?
I'll move it to move it then.
You happy to move it? Councillor Littlemore? Councillor Jessup, second. Those in favour? Councillor Baines?
Aye. Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Great conversation. Going to 4.3 policy review, and Miss Kerr will present.
You too. I'll try and make mine as
Oh, yeah,
interesting
it's
as Thank you. This month's policy report, there's 3 policies presented for recommended for adoption. They're contributions in lieu of provision of on-site car parking policy. The purpose of this policy is to outline the circumstances under which a monetary contribution might be made for the development in lieu of providing on-site car parking, to calculate the amount of monetary contribution, to establish a transparent and accountable process, and to account for the application of contributions to offset the cost of car parking. There are no recommended amendments to this policy from either the planning team or the governance team. The other 2 are in relation to council's model meeting procedures and standing orders. So the Queensland Department of Local Government, Water and Volunteers has released updated versions of the model meeting procedures and standing orders for council meetings. The amendments have aligned to the legislative reforms introduced through the Local Government Empowering Councils and Other Legislation Amendment Act, which came into effect on 1 July 2026. The key reforms of that Act include changes to the councillor conduct framework, managing material personal interests and managing conflicts of interest. So today the recommendation is that council adopt the following policies: contribution in lieu of the provision of on-site car parking, the model meeting procedures and the standing orders for council meetings. Further, as per section 3 of the order of business of the standing orders for council meetings, Cassowary Coast Regional Council's order of business be adopted as follows: opening of the meeting by the chairperson, an opening prayer and acknowledgement of country, attendances and apologies and leave of absence, disclosure of conflicts of interest, confirmation of minutes of meetings, business arising from previous meetings, mayoral minutes, officer reports, receipt of petitions, consideration of notified motions, general business, confidential reports, and of course the meeting closure. Thank you.
So I'd like to move that the council adopt the following policies. 1, contributions in lieu of the provisions of on-site car parking. 2, model meeting procedures. And 3, standing orders for council meetings. Further, as per section 3, order of business of the standing orders of council meetings, Cassowary Coast Regional Council's order of business be adopted as per the officer's recommendation, with the removal of the opening prayer and acknowledgement of country, and that council's welcome to country policy also be amended to reflect the amendment.
I'd like to second that, Chair.
You'll second it? Thank you.
Sorry, could you read that last line that you just said?
That Cassowary Coast Regional Council's order of business be adopted as per the recommendation, with the removal of the opening prayer and acknowledgement of country, and that council's welcome to country policy also be amended to reflect the amendment. So because I'm asking to remove it, that then the policy has to also be amended. Councillor Baines.
So are you saying we don't have a welcome to country or an opening prayer? Is that what you'd like removed, or does it become optional?
We are removing it out of the standing orders, but it's still optional after that.
Okay.
What do you mean by optional, Chair?
Well, if we decide that we want to invite somebody in to do a prayer,
Okay, yep.
or we,
Or an official welcome to country.
or yeah,
To acknowledge.
yes, we can still do it, but we don't have to do
And
it.
this is solely for the LGMs. If we
Yes,
are out and about and wish to attend.
Yes,
and-
absolutely.
Yeah, I feel that my personal feeling is that we are doing a lot, and rather than, actions speak louder than some words.
Correct.
We have our wrap. I sit as chair of the First Nations Advisory Committee. We attended events at Jumbin regularly. We have the First Nations artwork upstairs at the Shire Hall. So I do feel that in those actions, we are reflecting a great, connection, and we don't need to just say those words. That's my personal opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor McLeod?
Through the chair, aren't majority of these like optional anyway? We don't have to do every one of these.
But if you've
Right.
adopted them in your standing orders,
Okay.
then you must do them.
Through the chair, would you like me to elaborate?
Yeah, please.
Please.
So the model meeting procedures talk about what best practice to have in your standing orders.
Yeah.
However, you can customize them to each individual council's preference. So our previous version of our standing orders that exist now prior to this resolution contain that order of business.
Yeah.
However, the model meeting procedures only stipulate that council's order of business must include attendances, apologies and granting leave of absences, confirmation of previous minutes and business arising, councillor conduct breach and reports and financial statement reports and officers' reports. That's what the model is from the department. We've customised our order of business to include all those items, including receiving of petitions, notices of motion, general business. And one of those items is the opening prayer and acknowledgement of country. The Welcome to Country policy stipulates that council will do an acknowledgement of country at each and every local government meeting. And it also stipulates that internally we will also do an acknowledgement of country for some internal meetings, at least annually. So the policy will need to be amended to reflect the change of today's motion if it's carried. So further, the order of business can be adjusted depending on circumstances of each meeting at the discretion of the chair.
Sorry, through the chair, because I know that's in our standing orders of business that we've got here that there's some of those we don't even do anyway.
Correct. So
That's
there's
right.
no
We don't
item.
do everything that's on this list, correct?
We don't always have petitions. We don't always have notices of motion.
So given that point through the chair, given that point that we don't always do everything on here, does it matter whether it's listed on there if we do it or not?
Yep. Does, because if I don't do it, I can be,
But
Can't we just
but
check
we,
policy?
you don't always do your Merrill minute.
yeah, I know that because it's not always a Merrill minute, but that is a standard thing that is in.
So some of these have to be done and some don't.
Yeah.
Is that what
Well,
you're
if there's no Merrill minute, you don't do it. If there's no petition, you don't do it. Whereas this is opening prayer and acknowledgement of country is something
Okay,
that is.
that's my clarification on that.
Yep.
Councillor
Councillor Baines?
So if an acting chair wanted to do the opening prayer and do an acknowledgement of country, are
Yeah.
you saying it's still available? Or if we take it out of the standing orders, does it make it not available? Because it's not in the
Take it
standing.
out of the standing orders, you can do it at the discretion of the chair.
But it's not mentioned in the standing orders at all. So how could you? Is my concern.
correct in that aspect.
Yes,
However, council can make that,
council can make that decision.
have it at the discretion of the chair of the meeting.
So that would then have to come into the recommendation to be at discretion.
We could,
Mhm.
potentially you can include that, yes.
We can add that to the amendment
The discretion of the chair.
or at the discretion of the chair.
Yeah, that's good.
I would be.
I would be, sorry, apologies through the chair, I would be much happier with that included at the discretion of, because
Okay.
otherwise,
Well, we
if it's
can
not
have
in
that on
there at
there.
all, yeah, I'm nearly finished. Otherwise, you could not do it at all if it wasn't in there.
Yeah.
I'd be supportive of that as an amendment.
Through the chair,
I would not be
So do you want me
supportive.
to
of
read
the
it again?
amendment to remove it.
Both have to agree to the amendment.
So the amendment that councillor Baines is proposing is that it remain in the extent or
Yes, can you speak up? Beg your
proposed amendment that councillor Baines is recommend or suggesting is that that particular line item remained in the standing orders with the proviso of at the discretion of the chair.
That's not my understanding.
No, that's
Councillor
not my
Baines?
understanding.
confused.
Councillor Baines?
I think you'd have to roll the discretion of the chair into the policy piece rather than into your standing orders.
Yes.
If it just because it's in the standing orders doesn't mean it has to be said,
Right.
It's in the policy.
because it's not a
I'm asking-
requirement. Yeah,
So
no,
I'm
listen.
asking for- Yep,
No, you're asking for it to be removed, which means there's no ability to do it at all in the standing orders, is the way I'm hearing it.
Okay.
Through the chair.
councillor.
Respectfully, Chair, I disagree. There's the opening of the meeting by the chairperson. There is nothing that prescribes what that opening might look like.
That's correct.
And so if the chair decided that they wanted to acknowledge country, they could certainly do it in the opening of the meeting, which is essentially what happens straight after anyway.
Yep, I agree.
Okay, so
So I'm happy to leave the recommendation the way it is, Chair.
you don't need to have at the discretion of the chairperson.
No, because it's already got the
That's
chairperson
the opening is
discretion to do it anyway.
Okay.
Basically a double up in reality. What's in there? At this point in time.
Councillor Baines?
I think because especially if we're talking about changing this means we have to change the policy, and we haven't reviewed the policy. I would rather defer that particular item in the recommendation and let's do some more work on this. So when we bring it back, we're all clear about where we are.
So where are we at? Are we at? Is
It's
there a
your-
vote whether
It's your
Get
motion.
a move in a second.
my motion, I've got a mover and a seconder?
Mhm.
So we'll take it to the vote.
So the move in the second is to actually get
That's
rid.
my recommendation.
But is councillor Baines now putting another recommendation?
Well, I've already got one on the table, so it has to be voted on.
Yep, okay.
Could you brief that out again?
As were a case, Regional Council's order of business be adopted as per the officer's recommendation with the removal of the opening prayer and acknowledgement to country, and that council's welcome to country policy also be amended to reflect the amendment. So we've got a mover and a seconder. Those in favour of removing it, please raise your hand.
So sorry, I'm just a bit confused again, if I may. Sorry, just so, but we're still, so that words at the discretion of the chair still apply to what,
No, I'm not putting at discretion of the chair
because it's implied.
it's already in the opening of
That's what
the
I'm saying.
meeting of the chair.
It is implied.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Confused as hell.
Pardon?
I'm confused.
So what I'm asking is for that to be removed out of this list. That's to be removed out of the list. And for that to be removed out of the list, it's then got to be amended in the actual policy. Because it says in the policy that we will do it at every meeting.
Yes.
So are we going to do a policy on an opening prayer as well?
Are they together?
Are they not?
No,
Through the
they're
chair,
not.
The welcome to country policy stipulates
Oh, I
that
beg
at each and every local government meeting, there will be an acknowledgement amendment.
That's correct.
Can that then just be amended, that policy?
That's
to
what I'm
at the
thinking.
discretion of the chair?
Yes, the policy can, but we're talking about removing this out of this list. That's all we're talking to at this point.
Is councillor Baines correct? Do we need to do the policy first and then
Look at this.
look at this?
Necessarily.
No,
No?
So either.
no.
What's the
because
point?
it's
What's the
asking
point I'm
for the
trying to make?
policy to be amended.
Through the chair, I'm happy to bring the policy back to the next meeting.
And we can talk
Does
about the
not hold
amendment.
up this
Yeah.
change.
Yeah,
Was that
councillor
the
Bain,
last part?
Doesn't hold up this changing the standing orders.
Yeah, I mean, I would still be more comfortable with not changing the standing orders until we've done the policy that you're mentioning in your amended motion that that's what we're going to do, but we don't even know what we're going to do to the policy as yet.
Through the chair.
I'd just like a bit more time on this one, that's all.
I think that the changes to the policy are pretty self-evident. It's not like we're going to reshuffle the whole policy.
No,
How do we know? We haven't done the work on it yet.
We're changing the several words.
sorry, guys, I'm going to go back to the motion, okay? So the motion is Cassowary Coast Regional Council's order of business be adopted as per the officer's recommendation with the removal of the opening prayer and acknowledgement of country, and that council's welcome to country policy also be amended to reflect the amendment. I have a mover and a seconder. Can we please vote? Those in favour, put your hand up. Okay, so we have against, Baines, Chewy,
I'm against.
McLeod and Pervin. So the motion is lost.
So, Chair, I move that the report be deferred for further consideration.
Yes, I'm happy to support that.
For that.
Thank you. Yes. Second that one. Can I, excuse me, through the chair, I just need to,
We need to vote on that deferral.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we do.
We pass the other ones.
Deferral can be a procedural motion through the chair. If everyone's agreed.
That would be the effective way to do it. Just defer that last item. Is that right? As a procedural.
Through the chair, deferring the reports, deferring all three policies.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, in favour.
Deferred,
Aye.
Favour?
all in favour?
Yeah.
Carried, thank you.
I just need to
So I'm still writing down.
leave the meeting for 1 minute through the chair. Thank you. I just need 1 second.
We'll wait till she comes back.
So the advocacy. Not that it's not important, but it's controversial.
What's that?
The next item.
Would you like me to
Just move
continue?
on, yeah, continue on.
So the next report is an advocacy update on council's LGAQ motions. So the LGAQ annual conference provides councils with an opportunity to advance significant policy, funding and legislative matters on behalf of their communities. Motions supported at the conference become formal LGAQ resolutions and generally remain current for 5 years, providing an ongoing mandate for advocacy to the Queensland and Australian governments. Council has reviewed the motions that it has advanced over the previous 5 years to assess progress and identify matters that remain active or unresolved. Outcomes range from substantially achieved, such as permanent funding for Works for Queensland, to ongoing advocacy in areas including community safety, insurance affordability, reef funding, land valuation reform and place-based primary healthcare. The review will assist Council in determining priorities for inclusion in the Council's 2026 advocacy plan and for the 2027 LGAQ annual conference, while avoiding duplication of matters already addressed through current LGAQ resolutions. The background of the report provides the previous resolutions that Cassowary Coast Regional Council has put forward to the LGAQ conference. If I can just summarise the status of where we're at with our apologies, jumped around. Status of our previous motions submitted. Thank you briefly. Thank you. So our Works for Queensland advocacy matter is substantially achieved with permanent funding established and future focus on adequacy and indexation. A community and safety youth crime is ongoing and incorporated into broader statewide local government advocacy. Insurance affordability and cyclone reinsurance pool has been partially achieved. However, a pool establishment, but further reform and affordability improvements sought. Reef 2050 recognition and funding of local government is active and progressing and currently being advanced through the 2026 Reef 2050 plan review. Sustainable Reef Guardian Council funding is partially achieved and ongoing, with individual funding outcomes secured, but recurrent funding remains unresolved. The Land Valuation Act amendments for forestry and stock grazing permits and lease areas is unresolved and active and expressly retained in LGAQ's 2026 Advocacy Action Plan. And lastly, the place-based primary healthcare is ongoing, with principles remain reflected in Council's LGAQ health advocacy. Last month's meeting also adopted a resolution that Council put forward lifetime dog registrations, which will be put forward, is actually currently going through the LGAQ motions assessment process as we speak. The officer's recommendation is that Council notes the progress and status of advocacy matters previously advanced through the Local Government Association of Queensland annual consultation process, including matters that have been substantially achieved, remain under active advocacy, or continue to require further policy, funding, or legislative reform. 2, includes within Council's 2026-27 advocacy plan continuing advocacy for A, increased state and Australian government investment in water infrastructure, water security and renewal of ageing water assets, and B, reforms to improve the affordability, availability and effectiveness of insurance arrangements for communities in northern and disaster-prone Queensland, including further improvements to the cyclone reinsurance pool.
Councillor Pervin?
Yeah, I'm happy to move that, and I appreciate the CEO taking that on board at previous council meetings for bringing this item forward just to give a rundown. So yeah, I really do appreciate that. So thank you. So I'm happy to move it.
Wait a second.
Shall we second? Those in favour? Oh, Councillor Baines?
Thank you, Chair. Just to let the room know, and I echo Councillor Pervin's sentiments about it's great getting this done, but there was an excellent report given by the LGAQ representative at the Reef Guardians Council yesterday on the motions that are active that were mentioned in the report, and I'll get a copy of that and make sure it returns and is provided to Council and the members. Okay?
Yep, thanks.
And happy to vote in favour.
Righto, thanks. That's all favoured. Thank you. Move on to community housing divestment. And Mr. Valente will present. Good morning.
Morning, everyone.
How are you?
Good, thank you. So this report relates to Council's ongoing plan to divest its community housing portfolio. So on 27 March 2025, Council resolved to bring back a report to Council on its intended divestment of freehold properties which have no funding agreement with Department of Housing. There are 2 such properties. Obviously, they are freehold, they're unfunded, so there's a potential realisable value to Council. So this report relates to one of those properties, which is at 18 Martin Street, Innisfail. That property consists of 3 one-bedroom units, which house 3 at-risk community housing tenants. So Council office has been looking at ways to achieve a reasonable financial return for Council, but also ensuring that those tenants are not displaced and are protected. The only way to achieve both of those objectives, we believe, is to sell the property to a registered housing provider who will continue to utilise the property for community housing. So in January 26, we obtained a valuation of the property from a licensed valuer. Council officers then provided a copy of the valuation and all relevant property data to 2 active registered housing providers in Innisfail, being Innisfail Youth and Family Care and Regional Housing Limited. Innisfail Youth and Family Care offered the highest price of $295,000, which was based on their own valuation and assessment of the condition of the property. Although the offer from Innisfail Youth and Family is potentially less than what Council might achieve if the property was sold in the open market, a sale to a private owner would most likely result in the at-risk tenants being displaced. So the offer from Innisfail Youth and Family may be less than what we could get in the open market. However, it does protect the at-risk tenants. It's also worth noting that Innisfail Youth and Family Care are a very reputable housing provider and has successfully operated in our region for many years, providing valuable support to many at-risk families. The addition of this property to their portfolio, we hope, would also assist them in accessing future funding. As part of Council's ongoing strategy to divest its community housing portfolio, Council officers therefore recommend disposing of its interest in 18 Martin Street, Innisfail, to Innisfail Youth and Family Care at the price offered of $295,000. Pursuant to section 227(1) of the local government regulation, Council cannot enter into a valuable non-current asset contract without first going to public tender or auction, unless an exception in Division 4 is applied. The offering made to the two registered housing providers in Innisfail is not considered to be a tender, so that's why we need the resolution. The exception in section 2361(b)(2) of the Division 4 of the regulation allows for a disposal of a valuable non-current asset without tender or auction if the disposal is to a community organisation and Council resolves to apply the exception. Innisfail Youth and Family Care meet the definition of a community organisation under the regulation, and there would fall under that exception if the resolution's passed. So our recommendation is that Council approve the disposal of the freehold property situated at 18 Martin Street, Innisfail, described as Lot 19 on RP 705581 to Innisfail Youth and Family Care without tender or auction by adopting the exception contained in section 2361(b)(2) on the Local Government Regulation 2012. Secondly, authorise the CEO to negotiate and execute a contract for the sale of 18 Martin Street, Innisfail, to Innisfail Youth and Family Care at a purchase price of $295,000 and otherwise on terms as the CEO reasonably determines, and do all necessary acts to complete that contract. Thirdly, following completion of the sale, deposit the proceeds of sale to Council's acquisition and disposal reserve.
Happy to move that, Chair.
Just a minute.
Through the chair, I'm happy to move that.
Happy to second.
Happy to say something.
Councillor McLeod.
I think it's a great thing for the residents to be able to stay there and not be displaced.
They are at risk.
They are definitely, and it's in my division. I have been to that property in the past. So yeah, very good to see those residents stay.
Any further comments? Those in favour? Thanks, Karen. Thank you. Move on to 5.2.
So this report relates to the proposed grant of a facility use agreement to Innisfail Touch Association in respect of the hall, which is known as the Sid Gallipo Memorial Hall, located at George Crimer Oval, Cheshire Street, Wangan. Innisfail Touch were incorporated in 1990 and have been operating out of part of the hall for many years as part of operating its touch football competition on the adjacent oval. Use of the hall was previously shared between Innisfail Touch and the Wangan Sports Club. However, the Wangan Sports Club has recently relinquished their agreement over their part of the hall due to a lack of volunteers. At the same time, South Johnson Bowls Club approached Council wishing to relocate from their premises at number 6 Branch Road, South Johnson, to the hall at Wangan and construct a new lawn bowls green on the oval adjacent to the hall. Council officers had a number of meetings with both Innisfail Touch and the Bowls Club to determine if the clubs could share the facility. However, due to their competing plans for use of the oval, the clubs were unable to agree on a shared use arrangement for the hall. Consequently, we had to undertake an expression of interest to determine which club should be granted an agreement over the facility. Both clubs submitted detailed applications to the EOI, and although both clubs met the criteria for the grant of an agreement under our community use of assets policy, the assessment panel scored the EOI in favour of Innisfail Touch. The proposed facility use agreement will transfer ownership of the improvements, being the hall building and the field lighting, to Innisfail Touch. This will allow those assets to be removed from Council's asset register with substantial depreciation savings for Council, which are set out in the report. Section 227 of the Local Government Regulations states that Council cannot enter into a valuable non-current asset contract without first going to public tender or auction, unless a Division 4 exception applies. The grant of a facility use agreement is not a disposal of an interest in land. However, the disposal of the building assets does require resolution, as it is greater than our adopted policy amount of $7,000. So the book value of those assets exceeds that. So that's the reason we need the resolution. Section 2361B2 of the regulation allows the disposal of a valuable non-current asset to a community organisation without public tender or auction, provided there's a prior resolution of council to apply the exception. As I said, the facility use agreement is not a disposal of an interest in land. However, the transfer of those improvements does require a resolution to apply that exception. Innisfail Touch is a non-profit incorporated association and it qualifies as a community organisation under the regulation. We therefore recommend that Council 1 apply the exception contained in section 2361B2 of the local government regulation to grant a facility use agreement to Innisfail Touch Association as a community organisation which will contain the following key terms: the user, Innisfail Touch Association Inc. Facility is the said Galpo Memorial Hall located at George Grimer Oval, Cheshire Street, Wangan. The term is for 5 years. The fee is $1. There are no outgoings, there are no utility charges attached to that building. Permitted use will be a touch football club and associated and ancillary uses, including the use of George Grimer Oval to conduct touch football games. The ownership of the building will be transferred to the user and all interest in those improvements being the hall and the field lighting. Secondly, authorise the CEO to execute a facility use agreement on behalf of council. Thirdly, authorise the CEO to make all necessary steps to ensure ongoing compliance with the terms and conditions of that facility use agreement. Happy to take any questions on that.
One question.
Just need to have recorded that Councillor Baines has left the meeting.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Well,
Councillor Pervin.
One question, thanks, Chair, to Mr. Valenti. With this, so previously it was the hall was hired out through the Wangan Sports Association. I think I'm correct. So any hall hire now, it's nothing to do with council. It'll all be solely on the Innisfail Touch. Is that correct?
They've been encouraged to hire it out again to raise revenue to keep the building in good repair and maintenance.
Just further on that, that is a beautiful wedding venue too. Many weddings have been done there and birthday. So yeah, it's very underutilized. So hopefully the Innisfail Touch can make use a lot better use of that hall. Thank you.
That's through the chair. Yeah, I'm happy to second. I think it hasn't been done. Just once again, I'm so proud of our team to put us where we are. I attended a conference yesterday and they made reference to other councils at the beginning of this journey and the comms team and what work they have to do to make, settle community down. And we are so far ahead. We were there, but we've just worked so well and our community members and groups have come on board. And I think it's a great outcome for everybody. So well.
The chair will again credit to council too for helping us by creating that infrastructure grant.
Yes.
That has certainly helped in the process. Yeah.
Sorry, did you move that?
No, did you move that?
Did you move that?
I didn't, but I will.
Oh,
Happy to move it then. I beg your pardon. I thought.
I'll second again.
Second it.
Oh,
Apology. And you spoke, I just assumed you moved it.
Okay, those in favour? Carried, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Valente.
Thank you.
Bit of a short break, Chair.
Take a short break. Does anyone have a break?
Yeah, lovely thought.
Minutes. Thank you.
The aircon down, it's freezing, pretty cold.
Okay, welcome back. We'll move on to item 6, planning, and we have Ms. Perkins to present.
Morning.
Good morning, councillors. Today, I'm here to present a development application report for you for a material change of use for a telecommunications facility on land described as Lot 8 on SP 218537, situated at Germantown Road, Germantown. The application seeks a development permit for the material change use for the telecommunications tower, and the application was prepared by SAQ Consulting Proprietary Limited on behalf of Wavecon Operations Proprietary Limited. The application is proposed within the rural zone and at Germantown Road, Germantown. As I said, the proposal is for a telecommunications facility. It's in the form of a 40-metre tall monopole and associated equipment within a 100 square metre compound. The applicant is proposing the facility to allow for a significantly improved telecommunications network for Optus and other telecommunication carriers that are requiring co-location in this area. The location selected is at the rear of the existing dwelling on the property and is about 100 metres north of the road boundary. Optus will utilise the facility to improve its mobile network coverage in this area of the local government, thereby allowing for significant improvements in mobile and data access to the surrounding area, including Germantown and Meena Creek. Co-location of the structure was on the structure will be possible by other carriers. The proposed facility, as I said, will allow for significantly improved access to the Optus network in the Meena Creek and Germantown area, with the nearest existing Optus facility more than 10 kilometres from this area. The only existing monopole in the wider locality is an NBN Telstra facility about 2.4 kilometres southwest of the other side of Meena Creek, and is not in the desired area for Optus. And existing co-location on this tower makes it prohibited for Optus to get the coverage that they are seeking to provide for the community. There are no opportunities for co-location to solve the coverage issue identified, and a new structure is now required to achieve improvements sought by Optus. Once the proposed structure is in place, it will be suitable and available for co-location as required. The application is impact accessible and required public notification, and no submissions were received by council during the comment period. The application did not require referral. The application is recommended that a development permit be issued for a material change of use for a telecommunications facility on land described as Lot 8 on SP 218537, situated at Germantown Road, Germantown, subject to conditions shown in attachment 1. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Yes, I do. So, being that it was impact accessible and therefore public notification was required, so was there a sign on the site to say this is what's happening? Were any of the surrounding properties approached, do you know?
Through the chair, yes. So it's under the Planning Act. It is a statutory requirement that all applications that are impact accessible are public notified. As part of that process, they are required to put a notice on the land for a minimum 15 business days. They are required to notify adjoining landowners, and they're required to put a notice in a locally circulating newspaper. So the applicant in this case advertised both on the land, the adjoining landowners, and put a notice in the Cairns Post.
Cool. Thank you. That's all I wanted to make sure that that was done.
Thank you for clarifying that, Chair.
Councillor Pervin.
You said there was zero submissions, like fully made submissions, but were there any submissions at all, or just?
0 submissions were received in total.
Councillor Littlemore, did you have something you wanted to?
Sorry, Chair. I was thanking you for clarifying that point about the advertising and
Yeah, I just,
actions on the land. But yes, there is. I'd like to move the motion.
I'll second it.
Councillor Chewy.
Sorry, councillor Jessup was ahead of me. If you.
All right, Councillor Jessup.
That's okay. I'm just trying to work out the regions that will be affected with this, like will enhance their telecommunications. Is quite extensive by the look of it. It's not just Meena Creek area.
Through the chair, it's predominantly Germantown and Meena Creek.
And it's Optus.
Chair, can I just get some clarification, please, Michelle? The lot and plan description in the heading and the executive summary differs from the recommendation in the report. Is it SP 218537 or SP 218357?
Through the chair, 537. I do apologise for that. I have a dyslexic moment, and I also apologise. There is a typo in the report. So it's co-location, not collocate. That's the other word.
With bad colic.
So yeah, it is co-location.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Helpful not having to correct minutes again for next month's meeting. Thank you.
Through the chair, I'm just regarding the advertising as raised by the mayor. Now that we have more local papers than the Cairns Post, are we encouraging them to advertise in other papers or as well as or separate to?
Through the chair, yes, we do. So when we provide the applicant advice in relation to public notification, we do recommend the Observer as being the most locally circulating, but it is, as long as it is considered to be locally circulating, it is meeting the requirements under the Planning Act.
Thank you.
Fair enough.
Given that there's no submissions at this point, when do submissions close, if that's, or is it already closed?
Through the chair, they have closed. So the submission period is statutory timeframe. So in this case, it was 15 business days, so 3 weeks. So that closed before council begins their decision-making period. And once it closed, yeah, we prepared the report and it's come to council for your recommendation or approval.
You've got a mover and a seconder.
Yep. I do have a mover and a seconder, so those in favour? Gary, thank you. You're done. It's okay.
Chair, I'll be leaving.
Chairman.
I'll be leaving for these 2 items.
Thank you.
Well done.
How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you.
That's good. Is it Sherwin?
Yeah, Sherwin is right.
Sherwin?
No, Sherwin.
Sherwin, thank you.
Morning, councillors. I bring to you item 6.2, which is a material change of use at 260023. It's a material change of use to introduce a secondary land use to the existing backpackers for our workforce accommodation on land described as lot 15, plan number I-28-193, and it's situated at 7 Annie Street, Innisfail. So council has received an application by Zone Planning on behalf of Backpackers Shack Proprietary Limited, and it's to introduce this secondary land use to existing short-term accommodation for a workforce accommodation. The premises currently is on a township zone, central business precinct within Innisfail local plan. The proposal seeks to diversify the existing facilities use by allowing it to operate as a short-term accommodation as well as a long-term accommodation exceeding 3 months. With this proposal, it does not seek to alter the current build form and also does not seek to increase the capacity, which sits at 80 beds at the moment, distributed within 10 rooms. Consultations for this assessment was done against the state planning policy, the Far North Queensland Regional and Infrastructure Plan 2026, Planning Regulation 2017, as well as public notification. It underwent public notification and there was 0 submissions received for this application. It also underwent referral to the state due to the premises being located close to a state corridor. And a response was provided with conditions to improve the access. Legal implications that come with this development is a potential appeal to the Planning and Environment Court, and the financial and resource implications are legal fees that are associated with potential appeal. Supporting this development are the conditions of approval and assessment report, which I take to be read and reviewed by this committee. And the recommendations are that a development permit be issued for a material change of use to introduce the secondary land use to the existing backpackers for workforce accommodation on land described as lot 15 on plan number I-28-193, and it's situated at 7 Annie Street, Innisfail. Queensland 4860 and subject to conditions in attachment 1. We're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Chair.
Councillor McLeod.
To the chair, so realistically, the only difference is it's going from 3 months to 6 months without having to move out for a day and come back, correct?
Yeah,
In a nutshell?
Through the chair, it's long term. They
Yeah.
can stay there longer than 6 months. They can stay there 9 months, 10 months.
Sweet.
So it covers that basis, but remembering that with workforce accommodation, that's also covering your normal backpackers now because
Yes.
a lot of their visas are changed from
100%.
months to 6 months work time. So
Yeah.
they don't have to move out. So
Yeah.
those components, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to move.
That was my exact question, was clarifying between the backpackers, as we know them, even though they are workers, as opposed to workforce accommodation, which has sometimes different connotations. So sorry, I've interrupted. Could Councillor Littlemore?
Councillor Littlemore.
Just to clarify, so aside from the timing, there are no other changes to the use of the land?
Through the chair, no.
In that
The
case,
use-
I'd be having a second, Chair.
Existing building, same room configuration, same amount of parking, same amount of kitchen facilities, fridges, so forth, everything's, as is.
Councillor Jessup.
To me, this is pretty straightforward and I don't really know why it has to go to council, to be honest.
Because it's a change of use.
Yeah, I realise that, but
Through the chair,
change of time.
through the chair, under our policy, which we've had with council for a long time, we bring any application over 8 lots to council and any impact assessable applications we bring to council as well that have that process where we have referral submissions, those types of things for council to make that decision. Yeah.
Again, there was no submissions and, because guess what? Down the track, people come and ring you up and say,
Absolutely.
how did you make this happen? Well, it was out there for you to read.
Yeah, through the chair,
Yeah.
it goes through that process as Michelle just explained before, as well as
Yeah.
council has it on their website as well. We have the public notification of all applications through Mine Count,
Yep, and it has got conditions on it, so the conditions really don't change from how it is at the present time, so we shouldn't really see too much difference.
No.
Did you move that, councillor McLeod?
And I seconded it, Chair.
Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Thank you.
Is that right? We move to the next item, 6.3, which is a material change of use 260024. It's a material change of use to introduce a secondary land use to the existing backpackers to a workforce accommodation on land described as 314 on plan number NR 6355 situated at State Street, Miguel. Council received an application prepared by Zone Planning on behalf of J Bride Holding Proprietary Limited, and it's to seek an addition use, which is workforce accommodation to the existing short-term accommodation. This property is located within a township zone, Innisfail local plan, and within a residential precinct. The proposal seeks to diversify the current facility to introduce a long-term stay, which exceeds 3 months from the current short-term accommodation, which probably covers 3 months. This is to allow flexibility and to allow longer than 3 months use. Consultations were done through the SPP, which is the State Planning Policy, Far North Queensland Regional and Infrastructure Plan 2026, the Planning Regulations 2017. Public notification was also involved, and there was 1 submission. Key issues mentioned were concerns on the impacts of the use to the environment, as well as the amenity. When it comes to amenity, they talked about rubbish and noise. These issues have been responded to in the report, and there's conditions to cover the issues arising. Legal implications include a potential appeal in the PNE court, as well as financial and resource implication to council. That would be legal fees associated with potential appeal to the PNE court. Supporting these assessments, conditions of approval and the assessment report, which is taken to be read as well, and it's attached to this assessment available on my council. We do recommend that the development permit be issued for material change of use to introduce the secondary land use to the existing backpackers workforce accommodation and on land described as lot 314 on NR 6355 situated at State Street, Miguel, line 4860, subject to conditions attached in attachment 1. So one of the conditions introduced was a shared facilities permit, which will be renewed periodically and has to meet the standards of both short-term accommodation and long-term accommodation. Another condition also is amenity, whereby dimensions have been provided to cover what's recommended for the short and long-term accommodation, among other conditions. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. Yeah, I've got a question. So my question is, what's the likelihood of us ending up in Planning and Environment Court?
Through the chair, very minimal. If you refused it, you'd end up in the.
We'd end up there anyway. We've been through this before, haven't we?
Through the chair, the reason, this facility was the special school. It used to be the special school next to the high school.
Yeah.
It got changed to backpackers accommodation. There was a number of conditions with that facility. We extended the pathway in that area, which was contributed by the developer at the time. It's a 120 bed facility. So you're only introducing a secondary use. It's the same makeup, same components. It meets the planning scheme. If you went down the road of recommending refusal,
We'd be in a world of pain. So, Mr. Horton, how long has that already been accommodation for?
Through the chair, I think I did that approval in 2009, maybe off the top of my head. 2009? Yeah, it would have been around that time. We did both actually.
Probably.
Because the other one was a motel originally.
Yeah.
That was left over. They got redone, and this one was the school. So.
And so in that period, which is quite a long period of time, have we had any issues?
Through the chair, no. Look, we've had a few minor issues with waste and, shopping trolleys and that, which we get. Not only at this facility,
we get them everywhere.
At housing facilities and so forth throughout the whole region. So they've been the main sort of components. But look, we haven't had a lot. I haven't been rung up from the police and outlined that there's been noise complaints or anything like that in my time of being here. So the operation of the facility comes back to the manager, and the manager needs to make sure that the place is clean, appropriate. Yep. That's why that requirement under the local law is there to make sure that the cooktops work, all those types of things when we do our annual inspection.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Jessup.
There on-site manager with this one as well?
Through the chair, there's a caretaker.
The previous one as well.
Yeah. There's a caretaker condition in there. It was on the original one as well.
No, I'm happy to move.
You happy to move it?
Happy to second the chair.
Councillor Littlemore second. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good day.
You get councillor Purver.
Move on to 6.4 and Mr. Jones will present. Mr. Jones.
Morning, everybody. Good morning, Mayor and Councillors. This report provides an overview of planning, building, plumbing and drainage activity across the Cass Road Coast for the 25-26 financial year. In summary, Councillors, the 25-26 figures demonstrate a strong and geographically dispersed development sector across the Cass Road Coast. Council dealt with almost 1,000 statutory applications and approximately 105 million in approved building work. Residential development remains a major driver. Mission Beach and Innisfail continue to experience significant activity, and importantly, development is also occurring throughout our smaller coastal and rural communities, which made up approximately 40% of the applications which we received over that time. Looking through the report, council, and the attachment, there's a graph which also shows a 5-year trend. We're tracking fairly well in regards to that five-year trend at the moment. And
I think we're in front, aren't we?
we are, yeah, we're heading towards another record year, and that points to sustained investment and continued confidence in development across the Castro Coast. So breaking it down, council, we had approximately 72.3 million in Class A work, which is dwellings, 20 million in Class 10 works, which is sheds, and approximately 12 million in Class 2 to 9 development, which is commercial. So looking across the board, residential development represented approximately 70% of the total approved building value. Mission Beach, Wongaling and South Mission collectively recorded about 26% of the regional total. Innisfail was 19, Tully Heads and Tully and the other areas provided about 10%, and about 40%, like I said before, was in the remainder of the coastal, rural and agricultural communities. So we've had a pretty good year, council, the last financial year, and yeah, like I said, we're tracking well as well at the start of this year too. So happy to answer any questions.
John, read the
Just-
recommendation.
Oh, sorry. I thought I had him left off there a little bit. So the report is recommended for noting by council.
And through the chair.
Yeah, sure.
Through the chair, council, I just want to make you aware that those costings that we get in there are estimates. Okay. So that's the estimate that they put in when we get the application in the form, the DA form 1. Doesn't mean that that's what actually work, like we know with cost blowouts and price changes through variations and so forth with, we know ourselves even in our own work. When you're building a house and suddenly the steel price goes up and so forth over a 12-month to 15-month build, that estimate can change. Like those figures are there as what's provided to us, but I'd be sure that that's a lot higher than what actually is shown in that component. I just wanted to highlight that to council.
Yeah, through the chair, 20 to 25% is not uncommon.
No.
Given what we've seen on top of that, what you've seen with the current issues in regards to getting materials.
Yeah,
It's a very positive story to show that people are moving here and people are still buying things and building things, and yeah, we're not just laying dormant, so that's good. Happy to move. Thank you. Did you have something you wanted to add, Mr. Horton?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I just want to talk a little bit as well about, I've been starting to get inquiries about the new infrastructure charges policy, the waiver component. People ask me what do they get for it. The component of what the money is used for and why it's retained in council in the infrastructure charges component is to go towards trunk infrastructure. So what it is used for, that amount comes to council, it goes back in and invested into council with upgrades to streetscapes, roads, reservoirs, water mains, sewer mains, treatment plants, all those aspects that we're supposed to pay for out of our depreciation and renewal of those trunk infrastructure products. So when people come to you and ask what are they actually getting for that money, it is an expansion of town, reinvestment and replacement of old infrastructure, because we do have a lot of it. We know that the sewer system in Tully was built in the 70s. There is a number of infiltration issues. That money can be put towards that. Council has the total control on where they place that money and put that money towards. There has been money used for the village green and, for past reservoirs in different areas. So we seek funding, but that money there is, if funding's not available, that money goes towards developing our town in trying to get in infill within different areas that we currently got. So, there has been a number of questions since that policy change. Around different parts, duplexes, those types of things, because remember, duplexes now are only at 50% instead of 100, up to potential 100%. So I just wanted to raise that with council. There is questions coming through about that. I just wanted to explain what it is used for. and why the money is collected.
Just on that, so how do you respond to someone in that sort of circumstance when they ask you, what's the breakdown, say, a figure's been given of $45,000 infrastructure charges, and they've asked you where does that $45,000 go? Like, is there a break? They're asking, like, kind of like a spreadsheet, really. I guess, is there $6,000 to sewerage? Is there $10,000 a footpath? Is there something like that that's given to them? Because I think
No, through the chair, it's done as a lump sum. There is a breakdown in our infrastructure resolution that breaks it down into percentage of different components of what's taken. So if someone's in an area where they don't have sewer, they got on-site, but they get charged for water and that, it'll be reduced by a percentage. And that's all explained in that resolution of how that breakdown is. But the main thing that people want to know is what is it? Why are you taking the money and what am I getting for it? Why have I got to give $30,000? I'm not getting anything out of the $30,000, but people don't understand that $30,000 might pay for that trunk infrastructure main to get to that property where you are, or redevelop that area that you're currently doing your development. So to be able for someone else to come in and buy around there for that to be upgraded or put into community facilities. And look, we all understand out of the Innisfail master plan, understand what the costings are, to replace that revetment wall and all those things. Unless you get funding, that type of infrastructure charge goes towards those community benefits within that town or wherever council wishes to place it.
And I guess they got to realise too that whatever infrastructure they're building, they're putting more pressure on all of the things that we already are providing. So roads, footpaths, sewage, drainage, all of those things, where they might not see that because it's already there, but it's still an added pressure on all of those things that are being used at the present time.
Well,
no, it's very hard to explain, but people have to understand that we all have to share the cost of all of these things. I tried to extenuate that in a video yesterday and put out, our services catalogue for everybody to have a look at to show what we do. And anyway, yes, I 100% agree.
Please try again.
Yeah, through the chair, the local government infrastructure plan sets out there's an assumption that each block can be built on within the region in the residential area. When you go above that by adding on extra, say, a dual occupancy, which then increases the amount of people on that property, which then impacts on the services and facilities which council must supply. So that's how it's worked out.
Very good. So we've got a mover.
I'll second.
Second it. Those in favour? Aaron, thank you.
Thank you,
Guy.
council.
7.1, receipt of 2 petitions, and Ms Kerr will present.
Thank you. This month, council has received 2 petitions. The first petition was received on the 21st of July, and Jean McMillan is the principal petitioner. That petition states that we, the undersigned residents, petition to council and ask that the proposed plan for the shed at Marina Lakes be abandoned and the current building be restored with kitchen and toilet facilities be updated. The second petition was received on the 20th of July, and Vicky Green is the principal petitioner. That petition states that we support the release of Magenta, a valued support dog and beloved family companion, and we respectfully request that the council consider the dog's welfare, importance to Vicky Green's well-being, and any reasonable alternatives that would allow the dog's safe return home. In relation to the second petition, it should be noted that dog was released before the petition was received by council. The Marina Lakes shed planning. So let me start again. So council is planning for the future of the Marina Lakes facility through the design and refurbishment or reconstruction of the existing building to improve functionality, accessibility and whole of life sustainability while meeting community expectations for a key event and community space. Located within the Marina Lakes, council's highest topology regional park and a priority venue under the event strategy 24 to 28. The facility supports a wide range of uses, including school cross-country events, active and passive recreation, community events, weddings, ceremonial activities. The recommendation today is that council receives the petition regarding the Marina Lakes shed Note that this matter would be considered by council at a future local government meeting. 3, that council received the petition regarding the dog named Magenta. And 4, note that the dog has been released and advised the principal petitioner, Vicky Green, that a proposed regulated dog declaration notice appeal must be undertaken through the relevant legislative process in accordance with the Animal Management Cats and Dogs Act 2008, and further that council is unable to intervene in this process.
Happy to receive the petitions.
So this is not a question, but more of a statement, I guess, that what we're doing here today is simply receiving that, that the petition has been brought to council. And I would like to just acknowledge the fact that it says here in note 2 that this will be considered by council at a future local government meeting. I think that there is intentions on many more conversations before anything goes anywhere, and I just want people to be aware of that, and that this does not just mean that it gets put on the backboard. This will all be, we will go through it with a fine tooth comb, and then we will come back and talk with the community more about what happens in this space. But today we are simply receiving the petitions. Thank you, Councillor Jessup, for moving that.
Happy to second.
Seconded by Councillor Chewy.
Thank you.
Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Move on to general business. I just wanted to let people know that I have a topic. We went to the mayoral delegation in Canberra. I was part of the delegation with FNQ Rock. Whilst we were down there, we met with many ministers, heads of department and ministerial people about various topics. We spoke about local roads and community infrastructure program, safe and resilient supply chains for Far North Queensland. We talked about the National Land Transport Network extension, Coranda Range Road, Gilbert River Bridge, McLeod River Crossing, Peninsula Development Road, Palmerston Highway. There were many conversations that were had, and we will follow up with those. We advocated for a regional and remote special economic zone. If you want to read about any of the things that we advocated for, you can always come and see me. I have will put up a report in the coming weeks that will outline all of the topics that we went down there for, and I think we had some good conversations. So we'll see where that goes, and we'll continue to do that until we get what we need for Far North Queensland.
Very good.
Councillor Chewy.
Yeah, I also have just returned from Brisbane after attending a local government communications conference. It was interesting and insightful to listen and to learn how other council communications team deal with sharing news, updates and events to community. Each council had similar issues about geography, impacts of weather events, resources, keyboard warriors, engaging with state and federal governments and how best to communicate. Our team work hard to inform, educate and share news. And while I understand that every councillor is active on social media, perhaps just sharing our comms on your council Facebook page might be considered. We've all heard how people didn't hear or didn't know. So sharing council posts might alleviate that issue. And while again, I understand that not everybody is on social media, their children, their friends, their neighbours might be, so they can pass that information on. That way we are all singing from the same songbook. And as the 2028 election approaches, maintaining a profile might be an important tool. Our population is constantly changing. So once again, sharing our council posts will be beneficial to those new residents as well. Our comms team work hard to create information for community and councillors, and I'd like to thank them for that. And in the words of Mayor John Raven, who's quite an interesting social media.
He absolutely is. I'll have to agree with
Yes, important messages mean nothing if nobody sees them. And his final words were, people don't follow council, they follow people. So I'll leave that with you all. Thank you.
Any further general business? Councillor Pervin?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Yeah, I also attended the Australian Local Government Association Local Roads Transport Infrastructure Congress earlier this week with a couple of our staff members as well. People from all over Australia, the Tasmania, the West Coast, South Australia. It was brilliant speaking about the fuel shortages, the heavy vehicles. It really, I guess I'll have some further information in the time to come, but it was well attended, and even just for me being there and listening to some of these key speakers, it was a really good. I appreciate the staff putting the effort out to me to inform me that it was on, and yeah, it was well worth attending. So I'll have a proper report. I only just got back yesterday, but I'll have a proper report in time to come.
Thank you. Any further general business? Councillor Littlemore?
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I'd just like to report on the Vietnam Veterans Day at Cardwell recently, 18th of August, I think it was. Excellent turnout as usual, beautiful weather, very sad event, choked me up a little bit, but thank you for the honour of representing the council.
Any further general business today? No? Well, we'll move on. The meeting will now be closed to the public in accordance with the Local Government Act sections 254J13, legal advice obtained by the local government and negotiations relating to a commercial matter involving the local government for which a public discussion would be likely to prejudice the interests of the local government. To consider the following reports. Item 9.1, intention to sell. Item 9.2, water consumption concession. Item 9.3, collection, haulage and disposal of CCRC general waste contract. Item 9.4, sole specialised confidential supplier nomination for Risley Enterprises Proprietary Limited, trading as Celtic Constructions and Utility Services. 9.5, contract award for Alexander Drive. Item 9.6, 2627 regional bitumen reseal. Can I please have a mover? Councillor Chewy, seconded by Councillor Pervin. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you very much. We move out of closed session. So can I have a mover and seconder? Councillor Chewy, Councillor Pervin. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Welcome Ms. Vic to present this report.
Morning.
Right.
Morning. This is the intention to sell, setting an auction date. The recommendation is that council approves the land described as per Schedule 1, which was attached, to be sold by auction for overdue rates at 10 a.m. on Saturday, the 17th of October, 2026 at the Tully Civic Centre on Bryant Street, Tully, and also that the Chief Executive Officer be authorised to set the reserve price on the land as per the Local Government Regulation 2012.
So all parties have been notified.
Yes.
This is not something that's happened overnight. This has been a process that is accumulated over
more than 3 years.
So just want to let people know that there has been ample notification on these things. Yeah. Okay, guys.
I'll move it.
I'll move it. Councillor Pervin. Second up. Councillor Jessup. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you.
The next report is regarding a water consumption concession under exceptional circumstances. And the recommendation is that council considers the exceptional circumstances outlined in this report and resolve to approve the water concession as per section 5.2.4 of council's rating and concessions policy.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll move that.
Move it. Moved by Councillor Pervin.
Wait a second.
Seconded by Councillor McLeod.
Thank you.
Those in favour? Thank you, Karen. Thank you. Move on to item 9.3. Mr. Johnson is going to present. Thank you. Ms. Kerr, I couldn't think of his last name. Sorry, I lost your name there.
Morning, councillors. The recommendation relates to the contract COW 000220 for the collection, haulage and disposal of Cassowary Coast Regional Council wet waste. The recommendation to council is that council accept the schedule of rates for contract COW 000220 for collection, haulage and disposal of CCRC wet waste as submitted by Remondis Australia Proprietary Limited and FGF Developments No. 1 Pty Ltd for a period of 5 years commencing 3rd of October 2026, and B, consideration will be given to 2 by 12-month extensions at conclusion of the first 5 years. Recommendation 2, in accordance with the Local Government Act 2009, delegate authority to the Chief Executive Officer to enter into a contract, negotiate, finalise and execute any and all matters associated with or in relation to the contract, subject to Council's procurement policies and practices.
Any questions? Comments? No? Got to be done. You need to move or a second, no?
I'm happy to move this.
Move it. Thank you. Councillor Chewy, was that a second?
Yes, beg your pardon. Thank you.
Thank you. Those in favour? Carried, thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you, ma'am.
Item 9.4. Mr. Page will present. Is it still morning?
Morning, Madam Mayor. Councillors.
Still morning, on the cusp of it.
Hello. This report recommends that Wellesley Enterprises Proprietary Limited, trading as Celtic Construction and Utility Services, who was previously contracted by Council to deliver contract CCW 000262, is added to the sole specialised and confidential supplier list 2026 and engaged to deliver the revised works under contract CCW 000262. The recommendation is that Council 1, in accordance with Section 235B of the Local Government Regulation 2012, that for the contract CCW 000262, Wellesley Enterprises Proprietary Limited, trading as Celtic Construction and Utility Services, be added to the sole specialised or confidential nature supplier list 2026 for the reason that it would be impractical and disadvantageous to invite quotes or tenders. And 2, endorse the revised value of contract CCW 000262 as $988,253.71 exclusive of GST. And 3, in accordance with the Local Government Act 2009, delegate authority to the Chief Executive Officer to enter into the contracts, negotiate, finalise and execute any and all matters associated with or in relation to the contract, subject to Council's normal procurement policies and practices.
Councillor Jessup.
Correct me if I'm wrong. How this reads to me is this is only for this contract. Once this contract has been exhausted, then so does the sole supply.
For the Chair, that is correct.
Thank you. I'm happy to move. Thanks, Councillor Jessup.
So, with that being said, does that mean they actually come off the sole supplier list as well, or they still remain on that list?
For the Chair,
Yeah.
I'll let you answer that first of all.
So through the chair, the sole supplier list will be updated in accordance with today's decision.
Yes.
The contract's been executed, with the project's been executed and finalised. The procurement team will then remove it and republish the sole supplier list back up onto the website with that removed.
Okay.
I've got a mover.
Yeah, happy to second.
And as you said, it was disadvantageous. The reason behind this was because it wouldn't have been financially viable or time-wise wouldn't really be of any benefit to our ratepayers in any shape or form.
To the chair, there were some of the considerations, but also with revised scope of works due to other works, it could not disengage the works. They were too intertwined.
Yes.
There was a previous contract.
There was a
Correct.
there is a
There's
previous
previous.
contract, that's correct.
Correct.
All right, thank you. Got a mover and a seconder?
A second.
No, I've got a seconder.
Oh,
All those in favour? Carried, thank you.
Thank you.
And you move on to Mr. Chugg.
Yeah, good morning, councillors.
Morning, how are you?
The purpose of this report is for council to consider the submissions received for construction works to be delivered under the February 2025 and December 2025 flooding event disaster recovery funding arrangements, DRFA programs. On 30th of June 2026, council invited tenders from members of its landslip preferred supplier arrangement for the remediation of 3 landslip sites on Alexander Drive, Bingle Bay. The evaluation report for the 2 tenders received is attached to this report for council's information. The scope of works comprises the remediation of 2 minor upslope landslips, and these are from the February 2025 event. In addition, there's a major landslip site there from the December 2025 event. The request for tender closed on 24th of July with 2 submissions received. Tenderers were invited to submit for the works as a single package. This procurement process has resulted in competitive submissions and provides council with an opportunity to progress the remediation works. The recommendations of this report are that council 1. Accept the tender for contract CCW 397 Alexander Drive landslip remediation as submitted by Piling and Concreting Australia. 2. Note the tender value with Piling and Concreting Australia is $7,228,364 ex GST. And 3, in accordance with the Local Government Act 2009, delegate authority to the CEO to enter into a contract, negotiate, finalise and execute any and all matters associated with or in relation to the contract, subject to council's procurement policies and practices. And 4, thank the state and federal governments for the funding provided to this project.
Councillor Jessup.
Can't wait for this to be done, so happy, very happy to move this.
Just want to make a comment. This is a classic example that people need to take notice of why the DRFA funding is so important and that we keep that funding how it is, because there's no way in the world that we would be able to, as a small council, be able to fix all of those landslips if we weren't privy to this funding. So I'll just have to put that in. I'm sorry. It backs up what you just said. We thank them. We do thank them for all of the help that they give us, but however, we do plead to them to make sure that that DRFA funding stays or at least we get the full benefit of it on local government level. Okay, sorry guys, had to interject.
No, sorry, through the chair. So sorry, fully supportive, obviously, and it's probably further down the track and operational, but timelines and interruption to flow of traffic, that will all be something we'll be down the track.
Yeah, through the chair, I can share a little bit more information on that today. firstly, there certainly will be a certain level of interruption.
Yeah.
We'll be endeavouring to keep access along Alexander Drive continuing, but we can expect at times there'll be single lane closures, there'll be traffic lights to allow this work to go ahead safely.
We don't know what the weather's going to bring, God forbid, but that's just an unpredictable, so yes. But I'm just asking that we will be updated and community will be informed of the processes. That's what I'm asking.
And you were aware that they were going to do the two little ones first,
Yes.
because that funding agreement ended before the other. So yeah, they will get to the whole lot, but yeah, they were made a priority because of that reason.
Yeah, thank you.
And maybe just a bit further, sorry, through the chair, correct that it's the June 2027 deadline for those two smaller steps from the early 2025 event. It's the June 2028 deadline in terms of the funding and the requirements. However, absolutely, we want to get this finished as quickly as we can. It's not going to be across these three landslips in the 2026 calendar year. A certain amount of this work will carry into 2027, and then of course it becomes very weather dependent through the wet season as to what that completion date truly looks like.
Thank you. Happy to second if it hasn't been. I can't.
Yep, thank you.
Sorry.
All those in favour? Carried. Thank you very much. Thank you. Mr. Goodman will present.
Thank you, Mayor. With a little bit of leeway, I might, so this report is to recommend to Council a contract for the 2026-2027 regional bitumen reseal. With a little bit of leeway, I might talk a little bit about the scope and the importance of this contract. So this is about applying a fresh coat of bitumen onto an already bitumened road. It's not converting. We've got some really good programs to construct new sealed roads, but this is not what this is, and it is often confusing to some members of the public about why we do this and why we would spray bitumen on a road which is not full of defects and potholes and the like. And the best example I can provide of this is good preventative maintenance. The same as we don't wait till our cars don't work till we take them in for a service. We organise for the spraying of seals on a regular basis.
So, Mr. Goodman, how often is that likely to happen? What's the time frame for that? Is it 5, 10 years?
So around about 10 years. In other parts of the country with less UV radiation, you can get 15 years.
Okay.
But certainly that's not the case here. So we sort of double cursed with high UV amounts, which means we get quicker oxidisation, but the penalties in our wet environment are more so than you might get in Townsville or Charters Towers. So the penalty for not keeping up is greater within our region as well. One of the improvements that we will certainly notice this year as compared to previous years is we've amended our specifications, and there'll be a lot more utilised. Well, there will be utilisation because we've hardly used it at all in the past of polymer modified bitumens, which is essentially rubber compounds in with the bitumen, which would provide a greater level of elasticity and expected better performance over time. The program as it stands at the moment will expect to reseal just under 53 kilometres of road, which is roads in our network, which is rough numbers about 8% of the total sealed network managed by Cassowary Coast Regional Council.
How much is the percentage?
8%. It's a program where we try to get some value of concentration of doing rather than just randomly all over the place. We do try to get some benefits that the contractor, and we expect those to flow through into unit rates of doing a number of streets in a particular area, but this year is still quite widely spread across the whole region. So we've got roads and streets in Garradunga, Darragee, Silkwood, Belvedere, Jubilee Heights, Curramine, Bingle Bay, Tully, Mission Beach, Wangan, South Johnson, Walter Lever Estate, Murray Upper and Billiana.
So that is right across.
Right across the region, yeah. So if I move from my sort of more informal riffing to the real content of this report, Council undertakes an annual bitumen resale program to maintain the road network. Previous programs have been successfully delivered using collective procurement arrangements with neighbouring councils. The Far North Queensland Regional Organisation of Councils, FNQ ROC, was tasked with inviting tenders for the 2026-27 Regional Bitumen Resale Program on behalf of participating member councils. Tablelands Regional Council, Mareeba Shire Council and Cassowary Coast Regional Council. Coppin Constructions Proprietary Limited, trading as Coppin Bitumen Proprietary Limited, is the recommended tender on the basis of its highly competitive submission, demonstrated capability and strong reputation arising from previous dealings and works with participating councils. Based on the indicative works program and pricing, the annual contract value, this year's, this 2026 contract value is estimated to be in the vicinity of $2.638 million. There is potential for the scope to be varied to include resealing required for the subsequent 2 years, 2027-28 and 2028-29. Council's recommendation is that Council accept the tender for contract CW000430, the 26-27 FNQ ROC Regional Resale Program submitted by Coppin Constructions Proprietary Limited, trading as Coppin Bitumen Proprietary Limited. Note that the tender value with Coppin Constructions Proprietary Limited is $2,637,537 exclusive of GST. And thirdly, in accordance with the Local Government Act 2009, delegate authority to the Chief Executive Officer to enter into a contract, negotiate, finalise and execute any and all matters associated with or in relation to the contract subject to Council's procurement policies and practices.
Thank you.
I'm happy to move it.
To move, Councillor Pervin, thank you.
The chair happy to second.
Councillor McLeod.
Big program, Mr. Goodwin.
The chair, yeah, it's a big program. Look, and it's a lot of money too. And we're really pleased that Council's put that. It's a significant amount. That's $3 million in this year's budget for reseals. This work is not all of the work that's been done. We need to go out and do the preparatory works on those roads to go out and do that. But again, we're not overdoing it. 8% of the network is still leaves a lot to get across. So,
and we're being proactive. Really, we're trying to prolong the roads that we have. If it works, that's great.
Yeah, it is absolutely best practice.
And they're looking at new methodologies, which is good. So I mean, you know, we can only try new things and see if they work. So yeah, good.
So, Mr. Goodman, this is a contract that entails 2 other councils. So my question is, what happens if those other councils don't sign the contract?
That is a risk to the process, and Coppin would be within their right in this instance to withdraw their tender or seek to negotiate a significantly higher higher unit rates. Can't control what other councils do, but history says it's, participating councils have been very supportive in the past. We'd certainly need to come back to council if there was any issue that arose like that. But it would be through the chair, sorry,
Yeah, you're
it would be
Sorry.
handled with the within this resolution, because that would that is the part that is delegated to council by council to the CEO to negotiate on those contracts. And I think it's pretty explicit. If you're negotiating, there is a chance that those negotiations are not successful. That would be the obvious case where other councils didn't proceed with the tender. Coppin theoretically look to adjust their rates, and in that case, highly likely that those negotiations would stall, and we'd have to come back to council with an alternative procurement methodology.
Councillor Perfect.
Time frames on this, Mr. Goodwin, is it like, I'm presuming before wet season, but do we have a time frame when the other councils actually, like, let's make their decision too, because we're kind of a little bit held by them?
Through the chair, I should have provided that information, but my understanding is that they are either have already been in front of council to make that decision, or that is imminent. So within weeks, if it hasn't already happened.
Okay.
Cool. Got a mover and second. Those in favour? Karen, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That brings us to the close of the meeting. Thank you, everybody, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Everybody.